Welcome to the Game Changer podcast. My name is Natalie Michon. I am the coach of the modern day woman, and I'm so excited to be here with my co-host,
Phoenix Gray. You can't forget a name like that.
You can't forget Phoenix. But like, what's your tag? Like, you are. Remember, I told you like everybody's rich auntie.
Yes. So I help young adults learn about financial literacy, and it's really a passion of mine. You know, we don't talk about finances in our household, and we definitely don't really go over that stuff in school. So there's a huge opportunity out there.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's my passion.
And I'm Paulita Holmes. Whoop, whoop.
Paulita is our guest today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Natalie. I appreciate
Welcome.
it. Yes.
Are you nervous?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Don't be nervous, because I want y'all to sip on your wine because we're going to have a good time.
Okay.
Right. So we want to give everybody a chance out there. If you haven't already, make sure that you're sitting back and relaxing with a hot cup of tea or a glass of wine like we are. And we're about to get into it.
We're about to get kicked off. So I want to kind of, as of thinking what we're going to kind of go over and discuss today, but I really kind of want to dive into getting to know our guests, because today you're going to get a chance to play the Pursuitopoly game. Now, Phoenix calls it a little different.
Pursuitopoly.
It's not Pursuitopoly.
Pursuitopoly.
Which one would you say?
Rolls off
Pursuitopoly or Pursuitopoly?
There is a T
That's
in there.
the Caribbean.
Okay,
in
thank
hers
you.
is doing,
Thank you.
yeah, the
Which-
Caribbean in hers.
And there's nothing
like
wrong. Let's agree there's nothing wrong, because at the end of the day, as long as the spelling is correct and everybody can see what the name is, right? Then they'll know exactly what it is that I'm talking about.
She's about to say but.
No, you aren't.
All right. I won't say but.
There was no but.
That's that roll from your, yeah. I
Thank
think that's
you.
what
But she's
that
about to
is.
say
Thank you.
however.
There was no however. There was no but, and there was no however.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Natalie.
Oh,
You get a pass because, that's, it's natural.
Pursuitopoly. It
Yeah.
sounds perfectly
And
like
your accent comes out, so we get to hear your accent.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, wait. Oh, she'll spit out some words for you.
Okay.
She will. So, but before we dive into our game, we want to kind of get to know our guests and let our community know about our guests, because the fun thing about the reason why we have guests is because everybody has a story, and there's somebody out there that needs to hear your story. And so that's the fun part about making sure, because a lot of the community knows my story, right? And now they're going to dive in to know more about, because the last time we really kind of dived into all my business. Now, we're going to dive into your business.
All right.
And
Hot seat
then,
for me.
yeah. Okay, so one thing is we also work together, because you handle a lot of my financial affairs too. But what do you do? Tell the listeners about what you do.
I actually I'm a serial entrepreneur as well, But over the past 15 years, I've had a tax preparation company. So I don't just prepare taxes, I do a lot of tax resolution, particularly for business owners. I also am an insurance broker. So your life and health needs, I help you with that, kind of gathering yourself so that you can be financially sound with resources when you need them.
I'm glad you mentioned the life insurance because a lot of parents don't cover their children in life insurance. And that was one thing me and you did last year
Yep.
is to make sure that my babies are covered. And that gets scary, right? Trying to put together insurance packages because, of course, you're doing it in preparation of the worst. But you sat down and educated me on the different types of policies to make sure, you know, like a couple different a couple different options for my children. And really, we kind of looked at it more of an investment
Exactly.
for long term versus planning for devastation.
Because most people are educated to think that insurance is to pay for your funeral, when technically it's not. Insurance was always designed for the family to be taken care of once the spouse departs. But now with the rising cost of insurance, with the rising cost of funerals, and you know, as easy it is to make a GoFundMe, people just kind of depend on that. But once you get educated and you realize that there are options to do this, and it's tax-free, so you realize how generational wealth is being built up through insurance products.
Yes. What made you decide to go into those two fields? Was there a particular reason, or was it something that you've always wanted to do? Tell us how you kind of position yourself to go down those two paths.
So I started off a traditional track, okay? Now, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, but I started off traditionally. Went to college, got my degree, went to corporate America, all of those things. So I followed that traditional track. And life threw me a curveball, and I no longer had a driver's license because I had a DUI. So I didn't have a choice but to figure it out because I had a daughter to raise, and I was in Atlanta, you know, with no family. You know, a few, but, you know, enough to where I had to figure it out. So that's when the entrepreneurial spirit that was already in me, I just figured it out. And from there, I've always been in sales, so it's easy to sell. And like I said, my family members also, too, so that was something that was just already there.
Was that a while ago, or just like,
Yeah.
how long have you been on your entrepreneurial path?
Over 15 years.
Okay. That was a while back then.
Yeah, the last corporate job I had was in 2012.
And what did you do in your corporate job?
I was a trainer for ADT.
Wow.
Yep, I was a trainer for ADT. So I got my undergrad in Kansas City in sociology, so I did that for a while. So I know people. So I know how to interact with people. And then I got my master's here in business. And that's what, of course, led me to then become an entrepreneur.
So my husband, ironically, worked with ADP or ADT for years. He was there almost 30 years and just recently stepped away. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So he's now kind of like on that same trajectory, figuring out what his next steps are going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was there for a very long time.
Yeah, and society kind of pushes it that way because you know now you have to have more than one stream of income to survive. Even with having a spouse, you need multiple streams of income. We have to teach our children that younger, but as you are doing that, they kind of just fall into your lap, kind of like how I met Natalie. Last March, almost a year. Oh, dang.
Yeah, almost a
Already.
year.
So I came here to a women's empowerment seminar. And it was funny because I was looking at the notes the other day, and when she got up to speak, you know, I'm a note taker. And I'm writing my notes down, I put her name down, and I immediately just put boss. And as she told her story, but she is. For those that don't know her story, you'll learn it and you'll understand what that means. But, and then from there, I knew I was in the right place. And once we finally sat down and talked and kind of figured, okay, how can we work with each other? It's been great.
I absolutely believe in relationships, networking, and really just developing those skill sets. And a lot of times when you sit down and you talk with other women, you realize how much you have in common. You have
Right.
more in common than not, right?
Usually you do.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
So the situation that you kind of like brushed off with the DUI,
Right.
like what happened? I want to know the tea.
Well, you
What's
know,
the tea?
the tea is this. I moved here working in the industry, in the music industry, and it's a different beast. It's a different lifestyle. It requires a lot. You know, long nights. I mean, what is it? Late nights, early mornings, rarely getting sleep. You're always out. You know, and I started off in marketing. I was a personal assistant, and just that lifestyle had kind of consumed me. And, you know, if you don't know that, you've seen a lot, we watch a lot, we've been hearing a lot. Never got into it that deep, but yeah, I was grateful because then that's what made me make a 360.
And now you hear about, like now, it's so much that's coming out about the entertainment industry.
Yes.
Because it's like a dark
Very dark
abyss.
side. It's one of the only industries that you can work in where there is no code of conduct. There is no ethics. There are no standards.
There's no HR department.
No. Because most of the time when it comes down to something like that, majority of people can be bought. So, you know, and they don't want to ruin their careers. They're trying to pursue things. And it kind of puts you in a conundrum because you don't have anywhere else to go. They're forced to comply. So,
That's so sad.
yeah, it is. It is a dark side to it, though. It definitely is.
And you have to be, and you really have to be strong to not either to not be tempted or be strong enough to turn away from the temptation.
Yeah.
Because there are some people, like one thing that I tried not to do is just know that all money is not good money. And that's put me in situations to where I've had to file bankruptcy before. All money is not good money. That's put me in situations to where even when we did, like for my restaurant, we did a live reality show for one of my restaurants, and the whole show was built on non-reality. It's scripted, which people don't know. You know what I mean? And so I still have to deal with those repercussions because of the money I accepted. So that helped me understand. I'm like, that money right there was not good money.
It comes with a price.
It does. And, you know, I think, like, I could never get caught up in reality shows. Like, there's just something,
Yeah.
you know, like, I can't see myself sitting, wasting hours. And I know a lot of people get caught up in that. And a lot of people look at that like that's what life is supposed to be like, right? Not realizing that, like you said, it's scripted. It's not real. A lot of the stuff that you see that's on TV, right, isn't really a true reflection of what's really going on in people's households or in their professions or whatever the case may be.
I've gotten like death threats over that show. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, hold up, because they don't know it's not real. You know, so before we go down that rabbit hole, I want to talk about, now you come from, you grew up, went to school, got a job, you know, with master's degree, got a job, and then jumped into entrepreneurship. But one thing that we were talking about before we got started is that the men in your family were entrepreneurs, but the women in your family took care of the household. And then as the children kind of got older, then it kind of like the woman stepped up and became, let's talk about that a little bit, because I do like how that transition happened.
And that's just for both sides of my family, on my mom and dad's side. The woman took care of the wife, the mother, she took care of the home. And the husband went out and provided. So everyone was a provider, but they also, you know, always pursued more of the men being educated and, you know, taking care of things. It was easy. Life. You're the wife. So moving as they grew older, and as their kids were grown, they may sporadically volunteer or have something like at the elections, you know. But it wasn't until probably their grandchildren came along that they started to work in the workforce and or create a business for themselves. So that's the tradition on both sides. And then over time, it just became something to where within my generation came, education was actually, it was much more pursued then in my generation than in their generation.
Gotcha.
What did you go to school for, actually?
So my undergrad's in sociology, and then I have my MBA from University of Phoenix. And that, of course, again, too, because I knew deep down, I knew I was an entrepreneur. That's what I come from. I was answering the phones at my daddy's shop when I was 9 years old.
Right.
So, body shop, body shop, body shop, body shop. So I knew that from a long, I always knew it, but I wanted to do something different because the women in my family definitely showed me how to be a wife and be a woman, but not so much in the workforce. That's something
Right.
hard to teeter. And when you have a family and you're raising your family and trying to find that balance, it can be difficult. It's not easy.
So, and that's really like the premise of what the show is about, right? It's about women that, whether you're an entrepreneur, businesswoman, or you're in the corporate environment, really trying to figure out what's the best way in which to balance everything. The children, the husband, the career, yourself, your faith, right? What would you say has been the biggest challenge for you? Making that switch, and you said you're a serial entrepreneur, so what has been the biggest challenge for you?
I would say having that work-life balance, because when you do have to do both, you're assuming a lot more responsibility. And I became a single parent. My daughter was in elementary school. So you really, at that point, have to figure out the balance, one, as a single parent, but then two, as a working mother. So that was a big difference. But, you have a network, you build a network, you find your resources. And like I said, I come from go-getters, so you just make it happen.
So one thing I had to learn, see, I've never been like in corporate America, but as an entrepreneur, like corporate America, or you can your job can be 9 to 5 or whatever your time is. But entrepreneurs, we don't really have a cutoff time. And so I had to, I've learned in the course of disappointing people close to me how to really set boundaries. And that's time, and that's boundaries with, like I was telling Phoenix, like Tuesday and Thursday, what is that?
Her off day. Don't call her. Don't be reaching out about business.
Don't look for me, you know what I mean? I'll decide whether or not I want to do business. But Tuesday and Thursday should give me the opportunity to cook dinner. Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. That should be my days to where I can cook dinner and just be present, with my children. And really kind of speaking of being present is I'm learning to be present, period. So, and then that's hard for me. It's still a challenge for me. So even like when we're in meetings in the boardroom, and I'm like, I'll be right back, you know what I mean? Or my phone ringing, and it's kind of like handling that. Then I'm not mastering being present at that moment because I'm allowing something to turn me really quick.
Distract you.
Yep.
Yeah, and I find that in the entrepreneur space, it's harder to put those boundaries in place because you don't have that set clock to say, okay, at 5 and 6 or 6, I'm done, right? Or I have this set time to go to lunch. Or when you're an entrepreneur, you eat whenever you have time, or you can, whenever you can squeeze it in. There's a luxury there, I think, when you're an entrepreneur, to be able to manage your day appropriately based on what priorities you have, right? And having that freedom and autonomy to say, okay, you know what, I have this particular item that I need to work on, but it's not really critical. Let me put it off until a couple days away. And then, let me go take care of this laundry real quick, or let me go grocery shopping, right? But then you find yourself where you're putting in so much time, there really isn't like a cutoff. So you have to be extremely intentional and mindful of the fact that, you have to allocate yourself to whatever else you have going on in your life and not just focus on work all the time.
Yes.
And it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to find that balance because, like you said, you'll find yourself working and then you think, oh, the dryer just stopped. And that's a distraction to go and take clothes out the dryer, and then next thing you know, you're thinking about dinner. Let me check the menu. You come back to it, but because we don't give ourselves a cutoff, well, I got to finish this anyway, so I'll just work until it's done. And it doesn't. It does have a huge effect on when you can't find that balance.
One thing I've done is I've measured kind of like my time and versus like the money. And it was so funny because, and I hope people don't take this as being bougie or anything like that, but recently But recently, I've started taking my clothes to the wash and dry and fold for them to do it
I don't think
for
that's
me.
bougie. That's
Right.
like
I
having
don't
a cleaning
either.
lady.
And
You don't have time.
yeah. So, and then like I'll tell Carrington and Carson, I'm like, if y'all want y'all clothes washed, you know what I mean?
Bag them up.
Bag them up. Because I'm tired of seeing that laundry room look like, held and like spun all the way through there. And so, but then another thing my friend was talking about me is because I have the barber come to the house now to cut my son's hair.
Okay, now we a little bougie. We have.
So, so let me say this. Okay, so picture this. My son, it took so long for my son to be accustomed to enjoy going to the barbershop, number one. Then it took him so long to find a barber that he just felt comfortable with, because a lot of times if his dad was busy or out of town, I'm taking him to the barbershop. Well, I didn't like sitting up in the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like that hour would have been better spent somewhere else versus sitting there looking at these men and boys in this barbershop.
I get it.
But I'm already paying $30 for my son's cut. Now, his barber moved like 30 minutes from the house. That's the only barber that my son connected with and enjoyed being around. So then the barber says, well, you know what? I'm passing by your house. So what I'll do, instead of you going to come all the way 30 minutes to me, I'll just come by there. So I pay him an extra $20. So now that cut is $50, but it saves me an hour drive, an hour sitting there, and his barber just kind of comes and cuts his hair.
Right, and I kind of chuckled because I'm sure some people in the audience would look a little side-eyed, but I do think that if you have the means to be able to do that, and you're conscious of all of the things that you have going on in your life and in your space, right? You have the ability to bring someone in, why not? I remember there was a time during COVID where, everybody was ordering and having stuff delivered because we didn't really have a choice, right? Like you were kind of stuck in the house. But there was always something in me that said, having food delivered just seems so lazy. Like I need you know what I mean? Like it really kind of like put me in an awkward position because it seemed like, why would I do this when I could just get in my car, right? The same thing with, just thinking about certain things that we just take for granted. And a girlfriend of mine put it in perspective and said, well, you're basically reallocating your time. The time that you would have spent getting in the car, driving to the grocery store and looking for stuff, right? Just put your order in and have it delivered, and that's an hour that you can allocate to something else. And then I had a mentor that told me one time, if you have the means, right, to get a housekeeper to come in and clean your house, right, that's something else you can reshuffle to put that time into something that's more important for you. That's a higher priority, like your kids, right?
Right.
So it kind of changed my mindset a little bit. Obviously, if you're in position to be able to afford to do that, then do it. Especially if you're in that stage in your life where you're grinding and you're looking to elevate to the next level. And there's only 24 hours in the day, and there's only one of you,
That's
right?
it.
Something has to give.
Yeah. Now, and then I make sure even still, like I don't have a housekeeper or anybody that cleans, like my kids have their chores to do. So I'm trying to make sure they have some responsibility. I'm gonna go get these clothes washed. They do know how to wash and dry and fold their clothes. It's just, I guess they just wait till like they ain't got no more clothes, and then they gonna try to do it, and then they end up dumping the clean clothes with dirty clothes, and then we're washing clean clothes. It's just
But like Phoenix
horrible.
said, once you start elevating, you don't have that time.
Yeah.
And you do need to put it in perspective and say, okay, sure, I'll have someone else to clean up or do the laundry, because then this gives me this extra carved out time to do things with my kids or,
Right.
realign my household, other things, and you don't find that. But I think because we come from traditional backgrounds where we're supposed to do it all.
Right.
And
You don't wash, you don't clean your house up.
Wait a minute. That's what my mom
You
said.
don't fold your
Wait a minute,
clothes.
I told the kids. I was like, all right, y'all grab them bags and bring all them bags down, put them in my car. My mom was like, well, how much does that cost?
Right.
I mean, I just don't get it. I was like, well, surprisingly, all
It's
of
not
this
that
was like
bad.
$60. So I'm gonna let
Yes.
that girl and then she gonna put all them socks together too? Oh yeah.
Yeah, she can
Just
do
putting
all
the
that.
socks together is just
enough.
like it's like a bonus for me. So, but okay, so I wanna before we get up out of here, we're gonna play this game
Okay.
because we can sit here and talk. Because our next topic is whatever we roll on this game is what we're about to talk about.
Okay.
So I want you to choose if you want to be the
What is this game?
this. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So this is Pursuitopoly.
Pursuitopoly.
It's Pursuitopoly. Which way would you pronounce?
I would say pursuit topically.
So you would.
It just rolls off the tongue,
So you-
right?
I just want Phoenix to feel good. I just want to Phoenix. Well,
Stop.
you know, it's a guide from a very popular game, so you would want to pronounce it kind of like that popular game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, her Caribbean drawl is what's doing that to her.
Listen, I can't do nothing about it. That's
So
it
this
just
is
what it is.
So this is the Game Changer edition. So we've designed this game so every position on this board is something that's aligned and around the woman's life, the entrepreneur life, the mother life, the family life, the successful life. All of those pieces are represented on this board. So we've recreated our own Monopoly. Because one thing, Monopoly is one of my favorite games. Like that's all of our childhood
I
games.
think we all grew up
Everybody
with
grew up
with
with
We
that.
did.
Yeah.
And I promise you, probably like 80% of the people that play don't even play it right. Like they don't even know like how to master the game.
Make up rules as you go.
You make up rules as you go.
I'm always the banker, so
Oh, so you
I've been loving money.
you were like 2 for you, 3 for me.
200 for me.
Okay, so we're not going to dive into the money aspect because we already have our money for it. So instead of the traditional like chance and community chest, we have our own treasure vault and our own version of the chance, our question mark. So these are kind of just different things that could haphazardly happen in life. Now, the fun part about this game is as it grows, our triumphant milestone corner, which traditionally is known as Park Place, is how we're going to give money back to our community. So a lucky winner in our community will have the chance to win the triumphant milestone. So we'll give them different types of resources that they can use in business. So if you land on that, then somebody in our community will receive our bank for the triumphant milestone.
So
like that.
and pick
Okay.
Which piece do you want to be?
I'm gonna be the stack of books. Y'all know I love knowledge, so I'm gonna be a stack of books. Do I go to go?
Yep, go to go.
Okay.
Phoenix, which piece do you want to be?
I'm gonna take the shoe,
The
All right.
high heel.
the high heel.
Yes, the stiletto.
Yeah, notice the stiletto over here too. I'm big on.
Stilettos.
Okay, and then I guess I'm going to be the gift because I love
You're the
receiving
gift that
gifts.
keep on giving.
I
honey.
am. I would take it. Okay, so since you're, this is our little cappuccino. Okay, so since you're our guest, you can roll first.
Okay.
Girl, you roll them things like
Like a pro.
like a pro. She
I
was
told
like,
y'all.
Y'all
You're in
see her?
the
Y'all see her?
casino.
She was like,
You're in the casino like every
Right.
other weekend, right?
okay, so you got 6.
I got 6. Strategy square.
So strategy square. Okay, so let's talk about this for a little bit.
Okay.
What are some different strategies that you would take as an entrepreneur in life? Like, there's some women out there that have. Here we go. I love the fact that you've raised your daughter and your grandson. So, what are some different strategies, just as far as helping her navigate her son, because right now the father they're not in the same household. So what are some strategies that you would give, because you're single, your daughter's single, not married, and then with Phoenix. So, what are some different strategies that you could say as far as things that have done to help you all work together to be present with Phoenix, help your daughter be successful, while you're successful?
So I think it goes back to what we spoke on earlier. It's the work-life balance, okay? And it took me a while to master it. I'm not going to say I'm a complete master, but I know how to juggle it and multitask with it. So she got that from me. So she's able to do that as well. But we're very resourceful, and we have a great network. So the network and the support we have is awesome.
That's good.
Majority of my closest friends and family, I've known over 30, 35 years. So they're going to have the same values as me, pass along to Raven, Phoenix. So we built that. And by us not being native in Atlanta, that's part of when you live away, you have to build that up. So, and our strategy is, of course, we affirmations every day. We talk several times a day. I used to tell her she was my best friend, and she was like, ah. But now it's like, yeah, So, but kind of like when your kids don't answer, and you're like, why you not answer? But then when you don't answer, they call you like 20 times.
They do.
Right.
I'm like, respect me.
Yes.
Just like how you put me on Do Not Disturb, I'm
Right,
about to put
Right.
you on Do Not
Exactly.
Disturb.
But it is, I would say, being strategic in your schedule, making sure it's maintainable, and then you have those resources and safeguards in place so that when something happens, you can bounce back.
I love
There you
it.
go.
So all of our community game changers, I want you to put down in the chat some different strategies that have helped you be successful in navigating through being a mother, being a grandmother, even if you're a single mother, some different strategies.
Yeah, I think, again, it goes back to we all have more in common than not. So, we would love to hear your voice and your thoughts, and put in the comments some things that you've done that's been successful for you in being able to manage everything successfully.
Yes. Okay, so you want to roll next? See what you got. Let's see if you roll them how.
Listen, that's a 9.
That's 9. You got it?
Yes.
Watch her glass.
Let me move it over for you, Phoenix.
Okay.
She know the game.
I know the
game.
game, so I don't
Yep.
even have to count. What does that say?
Inspiration intersection.
Oh.
So something inspiring. What inspired you to jump out of just the working environment, the 9-to-5 corporate America, to be a successful real estate investor? I'm so excited for you because you're flipping these properties, girl, like pancakes.
Listen.
The other day she was like she has a couple projects going on now. And so yesterday I'm talking to her, she was like, girl, yeah, I'm at this other property. I'm like, dang, get your bag. So what are some things what inspired you from jumping out of, because when I met you, you had a job. I was like, you can't talk? She was like,
I'm at work.
I'm at work.
I'm in
I
a
was like,
meeting.
ugh.
You had meetings to schedule meetings. Like, that was my life.
I hate when people do that. I'm thinking everybody else can talk freely like me. And they're like, hey, let me call you back when I get off. I'm like for real, you can't be on the phone? I just don't know that life.
Right.
Put your earbud in.
Go to the bathroom.
Talk low.
So I would say for me, and to the audience as well, really just know who you are. Because once you know who you are and what you want, it really simplifies things. I think a lot of women, and just people in general that are in corporate, find themselves kind of going through the same thing every day, but being afraid to take that leap of faith and be afraid of making a change. And I think what ultimately inspired me was coming to the realization, this was like, just a few years ago, right? So that time frame is going to be different for everybody. But it was coming to the realization that I really wasn't providing the value that I wanted. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't really providing value to the company. I wasn't providing any value to myself. And so when I started thinking and peeling the onion and realizing, like, what would that look like? What kind of value do I want to provide? That's when I went back to my passion. And, the inspiration that I get from being able to sit down with people in general, but specifically with the younger generation, and just talk to them about the basics of financial literacy, and seeing that little light bulb go off, and getting those just basic questions about stuff that everybody should know coming out of high school, coming out of college. That's really what inspired me. So I think sometimes just understanding and acknowledging who you are. Sometimes we just try to hide and run away from it, but it always comes back to the same thing. That's how you know that you're either in the right situation or you're not. And then making a decision, taking that courage within, finding the courage within yourself to say, okay, what am I going to do about it to get myself in position, to be in position to do the things that you want to do? And that's what inspired me to make that change.
I love it.
Awesome.
And I'm so excited because she jumped during our gal friendship, our gal sisterhood.
Yes.
And I was just so excited, like when she was like, just so you know, I put in my 2 weeks. And I was like, what?
Yeah. So one thing
I
about
think I was
me,
more excited than
That
she
takes
was.
a lot of courage.
one thing about me, it took me forever though. It took me a long time. And, I just was tired of complaining. You're in corporate and you talk about how unhappy, you hate the politics, you hate the people, and after a while, I started just getting tired of hearing my own self and just being in that place. And you either have to, what's the saying?
Shit or get off the pot.
Shit or get off the pot, right?
Yeah.
So over 20 years later, it took me a while to get off the pot, but I did.
And I'm so proud of you because I've seen how you've soared. And sometimes people are afraid to let go of certain things. And that's the chain that's holding them back from their calling, or the thing that's holding them back from what God, the vision that God has given them to do. Because have you ever seen that picture like on social media when it's Jesus and he's trying to get this little tiny teddy bear from this little girl, but he has a huge teddy bear behind his back. But he's like, I'm trying to give you something bigger, but you're so afraid and you're holding this so tight that you're missing out on this blessing right here. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, honey.
You it.
Thanks a lot. Awesome.
Okay.
We definitely want you to talk a little bit, just spend a couple minutes talking about what you do, your businesses that you have, and how our audience can reach you.
Okay. So I actually have an office
didn't want me to
here.
play my
Oh,
round?
Natalie got to do her turn. Sorry.
I know we have to leave.
Natalie, I know.
I really wanted to roll
Go
my
ahead.
dice
No,
and
babe,
take my
It's your
turn.
turn.
Totally forgot. Go ahead.
It's your turn.
Roll the
the
dice.
dice. Roll the dice.
Then we're gonna. I've been waiting like all week.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to see if I can win some money. I'm on 4.
Okay, so what's that?
This is breakthrough tax.
Breakthrough tax.
So let me think.
A little bit about breakthrough text. Is that the sacrifice of breaking through?
That could be. Yeah. I've had to break through a lot. Even, when you're an entrepreneur and everything relies on you, there were some things I had to break through. I can tell you, I remember there was a really dark point of my life to where it was like, do I even want to live? You know what I mean? And because it was so much weight on me, as at that time as a wife, as an entrepreneur, my dad was my boss at the restaurant. So it's kind of like my dad said, do this. But then there's other things in the back of my head that I needed to do for my family. So, for my personal family. And I have 6 bonus children. So it was kind of like so much weight was on my shoulder. And then at the time helping my husband get through certain things with his, child support things. Okay. So it was just like so much weight at a certain time. And so it took a lot to break through to get back to trusting. Like I stopped going to church. I grew up in church, but not just grew up in church just to go. I sang in the choir. I was the youth leader. You know, I put together youth programs. I was close to my pastor. I lost all of that. Lost faith, you know, and just trying to hold on to whatever I could hold on to. Had to file bankruptcy, just financial turmoil, because my dad would feel like, well, you know, the business came first, but then I had to learn later that I should be paying myself first, but the business was getting everything first, and I was trying to catch the change later. So I broke through that. In the last probably 6 years, I was able to break through that. And it's been I'll say 7 years. It's been a very happy time for me to just kind of get through the darkness and to realize how to set boundaries and to put me first.
What are some of the tools that you use during that breakthrough period? Like,
So I had
obviously
to,
prayer.
yeah. I had to get myself physically back in church. And not so much necessarily active, but it's almost kind of like sitting around and looking at other people, you know, feel just the feeling of it, the spirit. And then spending more time. Now, I will say I've spent more time with my kids in the last 2 years than I did in 7 years. Like, in my mind, I don't have all of the memories that I feel like I should have as a mother from the last 5, 6, 7 years. But the last 2 years, I'm not missing too much of anything. So it's learning how to say no, to not saying yes to everything, but learning how to say no to certain things.
Yeah, which we do a lot of. As women, we tend to want to yes
Say
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's not
absolutely.
easy to say no.
It's not.
Some things are very difficult to say no.
You know what I learned? It's hard to say no. My father passed away, which that was like my dude. That was like my best friend in the world. But it's hard saying no to your parents.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Without a
Like,
doubt. Yep.
I can never tell him no. It's hard now saying no to my mother. Like, I had to tell Carrington and Carson, I was like, you know, we talked about this, like, watch what you say. You know, I want my kids to be able to tell me what's wrong or ask me questions. And I told Phoenix before, and on another episode, I was like, don't question me. You can ask me a question, but be careful how you question me.
Right.
So, but it's hard to, but the same thing, I can tell my kids that, but I can't tell my mama that. My mama every bit of 77, and she every bit of heavy-handed, probably still.
Right.
But I just can't do it.
I
So
would agree with that. It is difficult. But I think I've gotten to a point now as I've gotten older, like knowing how to say no nicely in a way that they can accept. And that's still a challenge.
Sometimes you
because
can't be
no.
nice when you say no.
No,
let me
you
tell you
Because they're
something.
gonna
She's
take
my.
it that way.
Can I tell them what my nickname is for you?
What is your nickname, Natty?
She's my little pit bull.
Oh.
That is my little pit bull right there. Oh, let me tell you,
Can we come up with another animal?
my little snappy Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu, I like that.
Okay.
My little snappy Shih.
Snappy, that's a good one.
Because
That's not bad.
right, and the Shih Tzu is cute.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna
Yeah.
just jump and bite you.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
it's
like the pit bull.
like the pit bull.
So why
My
did you
snappy-
choose that?
Yeah, why did you choose her as the
Thank you,
pit bull?
Paula.
oh,
Because
because
she doesn't come off in my
Thank you. I mean, look at my, you know, anyone that looks at me knows I'm super easygoing.
she is.
I'm
But
s-
let me tell you, we have some amazing guys behind the scene, like our engineer AJ, our producer and manager Ghost, Jarvis, aka Ghost. Let me tell you something. They will tell you in our meetings, they can co-sign and be like, "Oh no, she a pit bull."
Oh, okay.
Like she'll come in the chat.
Is that the Caribbean part coming out?
I don't know.
She'll come in, but she'll keep us in check. She'll come in the chat. She'll be like, what time? Where is the XYZ? And I'm like, I'm trying to come back behind her. I'm like, hey, good morning, everybody. She's like, yeah, you know it's morning. So where's the?
Now
Let's
she
get to it.
definitely stays on task.
She
She
does.
makes sure the guy is right back on task. Like, okay, enough chatter.
Right. I love her though. I love her. I wouldn't ask for another co-host in the world
Thank you,
because
darling.
she keep me in check. But let me tell you something. What's so funny is about our relationship that we'll hold each other accountable when we need to hold each other accountable. But when it's time, but sometimes when it's really time for us to hold each other accountable, girl, one will follow the other. Like one will follow the leader. That could be good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
Like,
Follow me.
right. Like, girl, I don't even know if I'm gonna go to the gym today. Now, the other one should easily say, we got a goal, we got a
yes,
mission,
let's get it.
get up, let's get it. The other one will say, you know what, I'm feeling you. You want to just go get some breakfast? Where
That
you want to
sound
go?
like something I
I'll
would
meet you
say.
at Waffle House in about
Right,
30 minutes.
Right.
So that's what we do. So that's what we do.
It's a great relationship. But I think we're coming to the end of this episode.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
been so much fun and having you here, Paulita.
Thank you guys for having me. You said
Yes,
it right.
I did say it right.
Yes.
And so I do want to give you the opportunity. Is it okay now, Miss?
I mean,
Nat?
yes.
Okay.
Now you can go ahead and tell everybody how to follow you.
You
Yes.
can
And
follow me.
find
My
you.
website is growandconquer.com. So that's GROWNCONQUER.com. My Instagram is 2.PLITT. 2P lit. Is that on Instagram?
2P lit.
Yeah.
I need to call you P lit.
Oh, that's what they call me.
Oh,
Yeah. They, yeah.
your friends that are here?
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
So, yeah, you guys can follow me there. Then I also have an office here at 3418 Dogwood Drive in Hayfield.
Awesome. We so appreciate it. We had
Thank
so
you.
much
I
fun
appreciate
with
you
you
guys
today.
for having
Yes,
me.
thank
I have to
you.
come back again.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna do an episode with our children, and that's kind of like we're excited about.
Okay.
So definitely, we probably have to have you come on with your daughter because
Okay.
that's where you really find out like how they feel, things that they're going through, things that
Yes.
from a child's perspective.
Yes.
And I know your daughter's grown, but it's still kind of like that relationship from mother-daughter because there are a lot of mother-daughters out here that are struggling. Mother-daughter relationships.
Very much so.
Yeah, mother-daughter relationship struggling. And
I welcome it. I mentioned it to Raven, so she's open to it as well. So, yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
We definitely want to share that with everybody.
And then lastly, I love your shirt.
Do tell where you got your.
Well, as you guys can see, they have on GameChangHer.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then this is, of course, another version of that, the GNC, kind of how you have your Gucci, you got your
Yes.
GNC
Get
here.
your
Hello.
Gucci.
Snap,
Yeah.
snap.
But this is all because of Miss Natalie Alexander. She is the person behind this Game Changer.
Well, yeah. So it's so funny because we were coming up with ideas and concepts and names, and God was like putting on my heart. I was like, I got to talk about something that I know, and trying to figure out. And then it was putting the pieces together, and so finding the right person to grow this brand and grow this idea. So we came up with different names. We came up with so then finally Phoenix and I finally hit Game Change Her.
Yeah, and I think it's perfect. I think it embodies everything that we want to be able to bring value to our audience about. And, it just makes so much sense because we're elevating and we want to bring our audience into what we're doing. And we also like to be able to share stories about what other women are doing and bring that out to our audience as well. So I think it just makes perfect sense.
It
Game
does, and it's
Changer.
warm, and
Yeah.
then it does create that safe space. with
Yes.
the Game Change Her.
Yes.
I think that was brilliant, Nat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're about to get up out of here. You all can find us every Wednesday night live,
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, right here. Come join us if you have your wine, your tea, whatever that is. But on any social media platform at Game Change Her. So Instagram, YouTube. If you're looking for us on TikTok, it's Game Changer Pod. And we'll see you there. Thank you all. Have an amazing night. We love you.
Bye-bye.